Welcome back to the next video of my new series, Dinner in Under 30 Minutes. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make the most delicious shrimp fajitas that's guaranteed to put a smile on everybody's face. And the best part is, this recipe is incredibly easy and requires very little prep work. Let's dive in. Alright guys, welcome back to the next episode of my new series, Dinner in Under 30 Minutes. If you guys aren't familiar with the series, I'm basically sharing some of my personal favorite quick and delicious recipes so you guys can cook dinner in under 30 minutes, and I want to prove to you guys that you don't need to go get fast food. You can make tasty dinners and healthy dinners at home in under 30 minutes. I know a lot of you guys are really busy out there, so I really wanted to share some of my favorite recipes. Today we have a really simple recipe, and I don't anticipate this video being that long. And in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to cook up shrimp fajitas. Now I have like 2, 3, maybe 4 recipes tops that are my go-to recipes for when I know there just isn't enough time in the day, and shrimp fajitas are hands down at the top of that list, and I'll tell you guys why. There are many variations of shrimp fajitas. You can make Baja shrimp fajitas, California style, Mexican style, you name it, and you can't really go wrong. I mean, who doesn't like fajitas? Now, the shrimp in the shrimp fajitas is really easy to prepare and it's super fast to cook. So it just aids in that time of making sure you cook the dinner in under 30 minutes. I'm gonna be using a very simple traditional style fajitas, and we're gonna utilize red salsa. So if you don't have red salsa right now, try to think of your favorite red salsa. You can either buy store-bought red salsa, or you can watch my video on how to make King Taco's red salsa, and I guarantee it's gonna add a lot of flavor to this dish. Or you can even substitute with your favorite off-the-shelf bottled hot sauce. That will work just fine as well. Now keep in mind, you don't need that much salsa, so the spare and extra salsa that you're gonna have, you can use that for something else or put them on your favorite tacos. For the fajitas, we really only need 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of red salsa, depending on how spicy you like things. And one of the most popular comments that I got on the last video was to include all the ingredients and measurements in the description of the video. I'm sorry I didn't do that on the last video. A lot of the stuff that I do and a lot of the food that I cook is just based on muscle memory, so I kind of don't really measure out my ingredients anymore. That's just me because I cook these recipes so frequently that I just don't need to anymore, but I understand. I'll try my best to do that. A lot of the stuff that you're gonna be doing is gonna be literally a pinch of spices. There's not a whole lot of spices that you need for this. Your basic salt and pepper, some cumin, allspice, maybe a little bit of paprika, some cloves. The salt and pepper is basically gonna be added to taste, right? To your specific taste. And just to let you guys know, I'm a firm believer of adding salt and pepper in layers. So every time you add something to the skillet, you lightly salt it and pepper it to make sure that everything is getting incorporated. And at the end, it's always worked for me. I've never had a dish be too salty or too peppery. Just be very, very conservative, and at the end of the dish you'll see everything will just layer up and you'll get all the flavors that you need. Now if you like things a little bit more salty or a little bit more peppery, feel free to add more salt and pepper to taste at the end of your dish, right before you're going to turn off the heat. You don't want the salt crystals to be coarse, you want them to completely infuse in the dish, but that's kind of my tactic. So let's cook some shrimp fajitas. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is prepare our vegetables. I'm going to be using a red onion for color and flavor, and we're going to be doing a red bell pepper and squash. A really easy way to prepare a bell pepper is to cut off the ends and then slice through. You want to try to avoid as much of the seeds and the clear veiny pieces as much as possible, because they will add a bitterness to your dish. Next, you want to add your cooking oil. I like to add flavorless cooking oil like avocado oil, sunflower seed oil, or even grapeseed oil to avoid influencing the dish. Add a small conservative amount of coarse black pepper and kosher salt. Lower the heat on your skillet and press in 2 garlic cloves. As soon as you start smelling that garlic, we're going to deglaze the pan using white wine vinegar. Okay, now we're gonna add in the rest of our vegetables and another conservative layer of salt and pepper. Alright, now it's time to cook up the shrimp. Shrimp does not take very long to cook at all. Just make sure you sear each side roughly around 30 seconds or so, or until you get good color. Overcooked shrimp tends to get really chewy and rubbery, so you want to avoid overcooking your shrimp. Add about a teaspoon of powdered chicken bouillon and a pinch of sugar. Then go ahead and make sure you allow the sugar and the onions to caramelize before putting in your shrimp. Add a small slice of butter for an additional layer of richness and complexity, and then we're going to add our salsa. Add between 1 to 3 tablespoons to avoid having a runny fajita, and then prepare a hot griddle for some tortillas, and I give you a delicious dinner in under 30 minutes. All right, my final thoughts, and let's see how we can make this even better and elevate the dish. As you guys saw in the video, it's a delicious, delicious dish, and you can make it as fancy as you want. I have some cast iron skillets that I like to present the fajitas in, and it just makes everything just look really, really nice, especially when you're coming home from work and you're tired and you see that in front of you, you feel like you're eating at a restaurant. And it didn't really take that much effort to make. So how can we make this meal even better? Well, the first thing I can think of is making your own tortillas or buying store-bought, handmade, fresh, that day tortillas to use. The ones that I got were just off the shelf that you would find at a supermarket, but if you go to the right grocery stores, you can often find handmade tortillas that day that are fresh, and that will completely elevate your meal. But let's talk specifically about the fajitas. You can obviously make it a lot better if you make your own homemade salsa. I highly recommend my King Taco inspired red salsa. It's a chipotle-based salsa, and it really does add complexity to the dish. Another thing that you guys may have noticed is that we added powdered chicken bouillon. Now, for time-saving purposes, the powdered chicken bouillon was just a lot easier to use, and it really cuts back on reducing the liquid so you don't get a really runny fajita. If you do have an extra 5 minutes to spare, you can add chicken stock, your own chicken stock or your favorite chicken stock, and that will definitely give the shrimp fajitas an enriched layer of complexity. Another thing you can do is, I skipped out on cheese. We just didn't feel like having cheese with our fajitas that day, but if you really wanted to kind of capitalize on the tortillas, you can really take these shrimp fajitas and make them into shrimp tacos. Mozzarella cheese, jack cheese, a little bit of Parmesan and jack. Honestly, whatever cheese you like, any cheese will work. It's gonna infuse with the crunch of the shrimp and really add more of a creaminess and even a bit of a saltiness to it. Now, if you guys noticed, we had a lot of fond on our stainless steel skillets when we cooked up the shrimp. Now, you're probably wondering, why didn't I use that fond? That's all that flavor right there. We could have easily added our vegetables in there and our white wine vinegar and really got that fond working for us. Well, the reason why we did not use that fond is because shrimp is very fishy, and all of that fond is gonna add a really fishy taste to the fajitas. I recommend you avoid using the fond, but if you want to, knock yourself out. You also notice that we use some butter. You just need a little bit, but it adds a lot of richness to the entire dish. And finally, you can add some potatoes to the fajitas. You can add more vegetables. You can really take this to a whole nother level. And it's not gonna add a whole bunch of time for you in the kitchen. I mean, if you're adding more vegetables, you just gotta prep them along with the vegetables that I included. And if you're adding potatoes, you should definitely flash boil them before adding them into the skillet, because then you're gonna suffer because the potatoes are gonna take a long time to cook. And if you add the potatoes way too soon, you're gonna have raw potatoes. You can also cook the potatoes in the oven and just add them in at the end, and make sure you just blend them along with the salsa, the sauce. If you noticed, we didn't use a whole bunch of salsa. A little bit really goes a long way. And finally, I added a pinch of sugar. The reason why I added the sugar is for two main reasons. One, it's gonna help caramelize the onions. And two, it's gonna be that extra little thing that people can't quite put their finger on. If you put too much, your dish is gonna be way too sweet and people are gonna know that you added sugar. But if you just add a pinch, it's definitely gonna throw people off and they're gonna be asking you for this recipe. Now, another great recipe that's also under 30 minutes is actually beer battered fish tacos. Look for that video in the near future. But until then, that's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative. Check out some of my other videos and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, how'd you guys like that last video? Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified on my next video. And if you can, please share with your family and friends. I would really appreciate it. Here's some more content that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. Check them out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.